This is Antoni Stojek on the biggest stage of his life at the Cubing World Championships. All he needs is a 2.69 to clutch a win at the clock finals.
We're still looking for Antoni's last
And he has done it. With a 2.54, he gets a personal record and becomes world champion. Or so he thought. Over a month after the competition, this post was made by the WRC. Dear WCA community, we would like to inform the community about some changes of results at the Rubik's WCA World Championship 2025. It was discovered that two of the competitors on the clock podium received a misscramble in their average, meaning that the scramble did not perfectly match the one generated by the computer. As these results were achieved in the final of a World Championship, the relevant attempts must be changed to a DNS, which disqualified these two attempts. Now, Antoni Stojek moves to 3rd place, and Volodymyr, who was 3rd place, is now the world champion. So just to recap, Antoni Stojek won fair and square, but a month later, from the video, it was found out that the staff messed up on scrambling one of the solves by the slightest margin. So now, that solve is disqualified. As you can expect, people were not happy about this. Why even be a competitive cuber at this point? I'm very disappointed. We worked hard for this, and now it seems like all of it went to nothing. And this isn't the first time it happened this year. Yiheng also got a world record penalized a month after the video was investigated. So why is this happening in the first place? I think this all started last year, where Yiheng gets a crazy record that takes a little advantage of the rules. The WRC makes much stricter rules regarding checking video for world championships and for world records. Here were the changes made in the regulations in 2025. The main one is here, introducing a defined process for handling misscrambles. If it is found that a competitor's puzzle was not scrambled correctly, an extra attempt must be granted to replace the affected attempt. If no extra attempt is granted, the result will be considered a DNS. If the result is achieved in the final round of a World Championship, this regulation applies, even though it's not the fault of the competitor. So what could Antoni and Brendan even do? This was the upsetting part about this post. At the end, it said, competitors in the clock final were able to check their scrambles at data entry after the final throughout the competition. So the only thing they could have done was manually check the scrambles afterwards, which shouldn't even be their responsibility. Even worse, many people were denied checking scrambles, including apparently Antoni himself. I have some unique perspective from this competition because I was there as a staff member and also a finalist. We were quite busy and there were many opportunities for people to check scrambles. But if you make a finals at the World Championships, they do tell every competitor that you can check scrambles. But instead of the scrambles being checked by the competitor, why is it not checked by the scramblers? Turns out these scrambles were all double checked by a second scrambler. And the reason why these misscrambles happened is because a move happened in transit from the scrambling station to the competing area. Here's how it might happen. Alright, the more I'm playing around with this, I'm realizing, how did this even happen? I know I don't have a proper clock cover, but this'll do. Even when shaking this around a lot, maybe with this thing too, the state doesn't really change. Maybe there's some potential in accidentally turning it as you put the puzzle in, or we slide it out really aggressively, it might turn. But I'm quite surprised this happened twice. Anyway, now that I'm here, I wanted to show one more thing, because apparently the misscramble was harder than the original. First, let me do the actual scramble. Here's what it looks like, I hope. And now, the misscramble. As you can see, it is quite similar, just off by 1 tick. It's a pretty big difference when checking the scramble, because every clock is messed up on one side, so it does make sense that this is messed up during transportation. I won't bore you with the clock details, but apparently if you solve both of these, the solution for the misscramble is actually one move more. Just to show it, if you hold it from this angle, I'll just do the solution on both puzzles. On the real scramble, 3 -4, and then on the misscramble, 3 -3. So 1 tick was saved here. They both have a -50, and both had a -4-4. Then the real scramble has a 5-5. Misscramble has a 4-5, so technically you save another tick here. Both have 2 -4s. Both have 1 -1. And then final move on a regular scramble is just a 6. Whereas on a misscramble, it was a 6 and a 1. So technically added 1 move there. And as you can tell, I'm not very good at clock because I messed up this one. But you get the idea. The misscramble seemed to save 2 extra ticks, but it added an extra tick at the end. Since that tick would have been 0, it kind of added a move. So there is an argument that the misscramble is harder, but probably pretty marginal difference. It's just 1 tick. So who's really at fault here? Definitely not Antoni. I don't think it's the scramblers. I think it's more so these rules are dumb. Let's pretend that Antoni went to check his scrambles sometime during the competition, after the finals. and then he discovers his misscramble. What's the move then? If he does a resolve, the finals is already over, so how would that even work? And chances are, that extra attempt will be a much different scramble than the one intended. Is it more fair to have that scramble compared to this scramble, which is only one move off? There's literally no good option, even if you check the scrambles. And the best option is just to keep this result. So right now, technically, Volodymyr is the world champion for clock, so congrats to him, he did work hard for it. But this is definitely not a way you want to become world champion. The fact that this is a world championship makes it a pretty big deal, but Antoni Stojek didn't just miss out on the title, he missed out on the prize money as well. If you become world champion, you get $1,000, which is quite a significant amount for cubing. The trophies seem to be already handed out, but the prize money was only recently given out, almost as if the WRC confirmed the win for Volodymyr permanently. Antoni Stojek's mom recently made a post thanking the community for their support and also mentioning they did appeal this decision. Unfortunately though, because this is a regulation, it'll be quite hard to overturn. We can see some precedent here from earlier this year, where another new 2025 regulation penalized Yiheng 0.86 2x2 world record average, also a whole month after, and I also didn't fully agree with this ruling. To briefly recap, here are the 5 solves of the average, and 3 of them got retroactively +2'd. So after these solves got penalized, very similarly, Yiheng's mom made a pretty long post. And her post brought up very similar things that Antoni Stojek's mom brought up. Lack of transparency and communication. But one huge difference in this decision that was very different from Antoni Stojek was that this one was made from votes and subjectivity. Like, how would you interpret if palms are facing down or if fingers are touching the timer? I believe there were around 25 votes, which is good that a lot of people are looking into this, but it doesn't change the fact that there is opinion here. And this is further solidified by this next point. A while back, Yiheng got a 0.49 that was +4'd because he was touching the cube and the timer start was bad. But Yiheng's mom argues that that video was blurry and unclear. When she provided the WRC with better and higher resolution video, they then lifted a +2 penalty. I think this is a pretty bad look for the WRC to change the previous decision they made based off using a different camera, because in theory, their penalties should be made with a high degree of certainty. Here's why I might have an issue with the 0.86 penalties. Remember, camera angle and quality does affect subconscious bias when making a decision. The +2 solves are all from the side, and the no penalty solves are all from the front. I then checked the video for myself with the highest quality video from the front angle, which was provided to me by Yiheng's mom, so thanks to her. These should also be shot in 120 FPS, which should be the highest quality. Now, there are some people blocking the camera at some points, which makes sense why they didn't use this video, but when trying my best to find the timer starts, and also lining up the frames of the videos side by side, here are the timer starts I got for the 3 solves that were penalized. And if you compare these timer starts with the other 2 timer starts that weren't penalized, they're actually quite similar. But the fact that it's subjective first of all, and the camera angle and the camera quality probably affects the decision, and obviously the people that vote impact the decision. There are just way too many variables. The WRC just retroactively penalized several solves from world champions and world record holders because of, in my opinion, marginal things, and things outside the competitor's control, whether it be a misscramble or someone blocking a camera, so you're forced to use another camera angle. And right now it's to the point where people aren't joking about blocking their solves from videos and purposely not posting their solves, as it literally feeds evidence for you to get disqualified unfairly. I think there's a low chance that these results will be reinstated, with these rules already very clear in the regulations. Will these rules ever be fixed? Let's see.